Alright, this is the second homework for EnergyPlus. So you should already be familiar with this, and now we're just going to add some HVAC stuff. The first thing you want to do is go to this schedule type limits, and click new object. Just get rid of that. And then we're going to call this HVAC template. Any number. Yeah, okay, sorry. And then we're going to schedule compact. It calls always one schedule type limit, any number. And then click 1. Sorry, I had myself there. We're gonna write through colon 12 31 for all days, all one word, until 24 o'clock, and then 1. So we want these to be there, and just gonna duplicate it. We're gonna name this 4. Change this number to 4. Duplicate 21. And 24. Alright, and then the next one is go to zone list. So I like to kind of collapse everything using Control L. And now let's just find the zone list. So I'm just gonna rename this, just because I don't. This is all like what's in here is from SketchUp, and I just kind of like having everything to be the same throughout. So I can call this all zones, and then you can, do like this. So like that, and then we're gonna do main zones, and this will be different for everyone. I think mine are zone 1 and 3, and then perimeters are zone 2 and 4. Yeah, and if you forget and you don't feel like opening up SketchUp, your main zones, okay, I got mine wrong, so your main zones will have your origins at 0, and the other zones won't. So as long as it starts at 0, and this is height, so that's fine, that shows it's directly above it. But your X and Y's will be at 0 for your main zones. So on mine already had people. So if yours does, that's fine. Just kind of, this is that schedule. Lights. For lights, we're gonna do I'm gonna rename this all zones. So we're gonna do this main zone. So people only in the main zone. So change this to a zone list to main zones. Lights, all zones, and for this we're gonna do it should be in the notes for how Dr. Jeter wants these to be set up. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do 0011, which is what it was last time. So this is, we're gonna rename this to office lights to show that you can do separate things. So I'm just gonna duplicate this, and I'm just gonna call this per lights because I don't feel like writing a perimeter. Change this to main zones. Change this to perimeter zones, and then we're gonna do watts per area. You can make this one if you don't like having numbers. So there. So that's what we do for lights. And then lastly, we have electrical equipment, and we're just gonna do these for the. I'm gonna rename this office equipment. We're gonna do main zones. it's already there, so that's fine. Watts per area, we're gonna make this 1. And then we're gonna make this 0. Sorry, 0, 0, 0. So it'll auto calculate the last one. So that'll be fine for that. Design specifications, outdoor air is the next one. That's probably not here, so we have to bring it up. Yeah, so it's HVAC design, objects, design specifications, outdoor air, new object. I like to call it just specification. Don't look if spelled wrong. Flow per person, and then 20. This is, I mean, the numbers are all weird again because of the rounding. So, next we're gonna do is zone control thermostat, which is right here. So, let's see, do this. Rename this to rename it all zones always 4, and then dual set point. And okay, so you see how that's blank? If you're missing, this is why I kind of like this, because if you're missing something, this is how you can tell. Because we're looking at this and we're like blank, oh, we're missing something. But I'm going to go ahead and name this, and as long as I name the other thing exactly the same, it'll all work out. So constant. I'm just gonna copy that just for the sake of having it. And then it should be, yep, right here, dual set point, new object. Paste that in there. Heating set point is 21, and cooling is 24. Because despite being in inch pound and everything else being in inch pound and every other specification being in Fahrenheit, this one is always in Celsius. So that's why there's 21, 24, because that's how it equates to like 70, 75 Fahrenheit. Alright, and then for the sake of simplicity, because EnergyPlus, this isn't really how you would model a building. This is kind of like a test, because basically this situation is you're setting up your own HVAC magic box for each zone, and no one does that. But if, for a homework assignment to have, add in chillers and heaters and everything else is kind of not really reasonable. And, so you have to do this for every zone. So I like to do just, zone 1 IAU for ideal, okay, I'll do ideal load systems. Zone. Alright, yeah, so I'm just gonna call this zone 1. Zone 1 supply inlet. So now we're kind of adding nodes. So when you go to add nodes later on, you'll be able to either type it in or pull it up from a list, but they don't exist straight off the bat. So you have to write it in for the first time. Schedule always 1. Yeah, and then design specification outdoor air. We pull that up. So that's everything we need for that. You want to do this for every single zone. I'm not going to do it for every single zone because that's a waste of time. And the next thing you want to do is find zone HVAC equipment list, which is at the bottom here. So again, this is for every zone. I'm just doing the one zone. So new object, zone. So yeah, zone 1 equipment, object type. This is a zone ideal air, ideal loads, zone equipment name. So you have to type it in for some reason. I'm gonna just do Control L. So if you don't remember, want to make sure you can just go and pop that in, and then cooling and heating sequence. So this allows you to have multiple things in one zone. So you have like, oh, I have central heating and air, and I also have chill beams, and I have this, and I have that. So you can add a bunch of stuff for every zone. And then expand this out into connections. New connection. Zone name, thermal zone 1. Zone conditioning equipment. So yeah, that should be equipment. Air inlet, that one. Zone air, no, oh, node name. So I just call this zone name, zone 1, zone air node. And zone 1, return output. So it's always, there's going to be a kind of a basic Word doc to go with this, and it's really important, or at least to me, that everything is named the same. So like everything is, blank equipment, blank supply inlet, blank zone air node. That way you don't have to remember a ton of things. It's always like, okay, this is always just blank, and then whatever you want to fill it in with. So I'm gonna save. So this is really temperamental with output variables. So if you try and run a simulation, it doesn't work, just delete your output variables. And while you're here, I like to make this by name, just alphabetical. If you're here, this output variable dictionary. And also we want to go up to simulation control, very top, and move this to yes, because now we have HVAC, so we want to see how this works for the entire year. Alright, and I just want to make a quick point. This is zone control. Make sure that it's dual set point. I clicked the wrong one, the single heating or cooling, and if you run it that way, you'll get an error. And I'm just going to show you how to debug again, just for the sake of this. So if you go to errors, and you see, okay, it's always 4, control type 4, dual set point. So it tells you, okay, so this is okay, so it shows here, zone, thermal 1 zone, so the problem's here, zone control thermostat, so the problem's here, and so you see a problem in this. So you go back here, zone control thermostat, zone 4, you count down, 1, 2, 3, oh, I missed the wrong one, so dual set point. Save, and then simulate, and also this is just for it to work, because I don't have the other zones here. Yours should be all zones here. And so here we go, 0 severe errors. So now that it's run and it's happy, we're going to go back, Control L to expand it, go back to output variable, new variable, and now everything should be in alphabetical order, or it's not. And we're just going to do the same thing as before, but now there's a lot more options. So there should be a list of whatever you want. And again, if we're reporting for all zones, then zone air temperature. If you want to do all zones, just leave an asterisk. But if I want to do like zone 2, then it'll only be zone 2. But if I'm doing a site, or if I want to do all the zones, then just leave it as an asterisk. Click save. Simulate again, and then you'll have your variables there. And then if you don't see this, like this counting, that means you haven't switched over to the full year run. So make sure you do all that. you look at variables, another little trick. It shows you the design days first. So we have our winter design day, then our heating design day here, and then now we start January 1st, you know, first blah 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 the entire year. And then you can also change your reporting frequency, hourly, time step. So we have 4 steps per an hour, so 1 hour divided by 4, 15 minutes. Daily, monthly, run period. So if it's like zone temperature, this basically is an averaging. If it's a power usage, it's a summation, so it automatically does that for you. And that should be it.